You're now listening to the show about the shit in life that's just a bit too much, from the perspective of stand-up comics. With our hosts, Carmelo Bongiovi and Ken Krantz. This week's topic, Stressed, Part 1. With our guest, Vinnie Brand. This is A Bit Too Much.
What else do you talk about in this stupid podcast? I like this podcast. I opened a new club.
Yeah, so where did you open a new club?
So, Valley Forge Casino.
Oh, you're booking that now? I heard you.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, I used to be a Soul Joel room years ago.
Yeah.
I had one of the funniest nights of my life working that club.
But it wasn't a good club then, right? Wasn't a good room?
I had fun there. I don't remember like how it was run so well or anything, but
did it look like a comedy club? Or did it look like a country western bar?
Yeah. Well, wait, are you in the basement?
The vault.
Are you? Yeah.
What do you see we did with it?
Okay, well, book me and I will.
I'm thinking more about you buying a ticket. Yeah, we'll get to there for sure. For sure we'll get you there. But
right after the New Year's Eve gig, you could work
the first show was last night.
Yes, I know. I spoke to Sicoli. I was on the phone with him on his way there. I spoke to him on the way there.
Well,
he said he was fucking dreading it.
I gotta tell you something.
It's far.
I've
been there a bunch, but the final touches weren't done. And there's still things we want to work out that will make it, run the way we want it to run. But it looks great. It sounds great.
Yeah.
Feels like a comedy club. It's a club.
I had one of the funnest nights of my room in that club. Not so much the show.
I don't know if the word "funnest nights in my room" is a sentence.
I know the funnest nights of my life in that room.
Got it.
I thought you meant like in your room, in your hotel.
No.
Room.
Did you know Angelo Lozada?
Who?
Angelo Lozada.
Is he dead? Oh, he died.
Yeah, he passed away.
That's right. He's a good friend of yours.
He was a very good friend of mine. But I was there opening for him. And they sat a table of drunk ladies right in front. And apparently they were regulars and they loved to interact. And this lady is heckling me from start to finish. And nobody comes to remove her because she's a regular. And this is what she likes to do. Nobody tells her you're not supposed to do that. So she is just shitting on my set. She's disruptive the entire night. So after the show finishes, everybody goes upstairs. There's a karaoke bar. And Angelo and I walk in, and this lady is up there singing karaoke. And there is a table right up front. And I go to Angelo. I'm like, watch this. And we sit at that table, and I start heckling her during her song.
Oh, that's great.
I'm like, this is now like every comic's revenge
you never get
fantasy.
The opportunity to reverse heckle.
I'm like, you suck. I'm like, who told you could sing Prince, Purple Rain? Are you out of your mind? And I'm having the most fun. And I turn to Angelo, and I'm like, this is great. And he goes, yeah. He goes, why don't you see how everyone's looking at you? And I'm so into and she was so drunk. She has no idea who I am. She's just like, what is this asshole's problem? She's
but
looking
everyone
at
in
me.
that room was not in the other room, so they don't know.
Yeah.
Right.
So Angelo was like, nobody in here knows that she just heckled you for 30 straight minutes.
That's great.
And you just look like an asshole who's giving this lady a hard time.
Yeah.
And then he got up and he goes, and I don't sit with assholes. And he left.
And by the way, heckling at a comedy club sucks, and people don't like you. But if you heckle at a karaoke, you're the devil. Like, you know what I mean? Like that is way. I
was like, I don't care. I'm okay with the second room thinking I'm awful.
Well, I gotta tell you, I'm excited. The room looks. I did the show last night. Me, Sicoli, and KP Burke, and 70 people in the room. Really, really fun.
Yeah.
And I like rooms that look like rooms, right?
Yeah.
The trend today is these gigantic 500-seaters, and there's a place for it. I mean, listen, I think that the Improvs has done an amazing job building and filling 600-seaters. I don't know where the future of comedy is. I don't think anyone does. They say ticket sales are down now.
Everywhere. I'm told clubs across the country.
I'll take New Brunswick out of that loop. But again, so now we'll have a meeting with our staff and we'll tell our staff, okay, now it's got to be better. There's a thing that always made me laugh. Like Bill Burr always busts my balls about the phone call. And, the phone call was all about making it more fun for the audience, making it an event. And this is the thing I think everybody misses. Yes, the comics are going to be fun, but the event has to be great. When you go to Disney World, everything is great.
Yeah.
Now, you might not be a Disney fan, but you will acknowledge it's clean. It's on point. The line rides are decorated. The lines are amazing.
Right.
Okay, so if Disney World missed any one of those components, it wouldn't be what it is.
Yeah.
So the phone call has been the most requested out of all acts, out of everything. And because it was just fun and it made it an event. And I get it. The comics don't think it's comedy. Okay, but the same guy doesn't think it's comedy is doing voiceovers on a cartoon. Well, what is that? Okay, what made you the arbiter? It's no different when someone says, "Oh, he's a puppet act. He's a piano act." What made you the arbiter of someone having fun?
Yeah.
Right? Phil Negro was a 47-year-old knuckleball pitcher, and I'm sure some 21-year-old kid was going, "He can't throw 101 miles an hour." Who gives a shit?
Yeah.
They can't hit that ball. Okay, so
Yeah, he doesn't need to.
huh?
He doesn't need to throw it 100 miles an hour.
And so, I look at it, I just want an event. I want you to go. We're doing these door videos now at the door, and they're resonating.
You fuck with the audience as
They're
they walk
resonating.
in. It's funny.
And look, I love doing it. I love the fact that people, without direct message me, you put my video up, right? I mean, that means something to me because it meant something to them. Not because for me, it's because it was fun, right? And I'm going to bring the phone call back to the club.
The thing that, how? Because I assumed it went away because of caller ID.
It
like
did.
who's
That's exactly
who's
why.
picking up a number they don't recognize?
It's exactly why it went away.
Yeah.
But what I've figured out is a way to plug anyone's cell phone in to our system. So I can stand on stage, plug your phone in, and call your family member, and it's going to come up. Ken Krantz is on it.
Okay.
And then the only limitation on that, it becomes more of a challenge to figure out the scenario.
Yeah.
Because when it's just an unknown number, I could be anyone. I could be a go-go bar. I could be a car, Now I have to say, I'm with Ken. Here's what happened. Here's why I have his phone. So the scenarios will be a little more challenging.
Yeah.
But again, Bill Burr hates it with a passion. Okay, Bill, who gives a shit? I love Bill. I love Bill Burr as a guy, as a comic. He's tremendously talented. And honest to God, just a little angrier than Hitler was. And and so, but Bill hated it. Attell loved it.
Yeah.
Attell
Well,
loved it.
it's funny. I feel like by the time I was actually doing stand-up, it was already, the phone call was on the way out. But what he would do is he would take audience requests, and then with the payphone on stage, he would prank call. And the audience did fucking love it. Like, you guys do a good job of, not if it's done right, because it's done right, but if it's the right crowd, there's already a buzz in the audience before the show starts. And I know when I walk in and I hear that buzz, like, tonight's going to be a good night.
Yeah. The room just has a vibe to it. You could feel it the second you walk in.
Yeah.
But that goes to the point about running a good room. Like, there's comedy everywhere now. Like, you can literally walk into these. I did a show at a fucking old church that was a brewery, and like the crowd was lit up and the stage was dark. There was a strobe light at one point. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there is so many. The room matters a fucking lot. Yeah, it really matters a lot. And now people don't. An audience doesn't. I'd probably think that way.
But you know what's happening? That's because I think that's because comics are so desperate to get on stage. And listen, not every environment is right for a stand-up comedy show.
Yeah, I agree.
And the setting matters. It's the same thing I said before. Could you imagine you need heart surgery and your surgeon goes, hey, let's do this one at the park. You know what? I'm going to do this one in the church basement. Yeah. Okay, so there's a healthy disrespect that comics show the quote-unquote art form. Because
they want stage time.
I'm not saying that a church basement couldn't be a good environment. It could be.
Yeah.
If you take the time to make it a good environment. Right? So
yeah.
You know, when I see some of these gigantic arena shows and I go, okay, I make no mistake about it. I'd love to be able to fill an arena. I don't know if I'd ever do it. I don't know if I could fill an arena that I would do an arena show because I don't think it's possible to deliver what we do in that environment.
Yeah, like in the garden. I can't wrap my mind around that.
Well, the funniest thing ever is I was talking to
You won't have to. Don't worry. You're not going to have to figure that
out. We're all on the clear on that one. But, you know, so Jeff Dunham did the Prudential Center. 18,000 people. And a guy saw the show. That's where they play hockey. That's where he did it. And the guy goes, that was great. I couldn't see his lips move. I go, where were your seats? I was in the way back. I'm like, you couldn't see, you're lucky you could see his lips from that distance.
Right.
He goes, no, they had a big screen. So how is that a good environment?
Yeah.
Right? So when I bring the phone call back, there'll be a lot of shit talking. And again, I don't care. It's rap wars to me. Because if I were to sit here and tell you all of the things I've heard other comics shit on other guys for doing or other styles.
That happens all the time.
The same guy that says, he's a music act. Can you get me on Stephen Lynch's show? Can I meet Stephen Lynch?
Yeah, sure. Okay. For sure.
He's a ventriloquist. Is there any way I can get on Jeff Dunham's cruise? Okay. So what are you talking about?
The comics hate it until there's an opportunity to open.
100%.
Do you have like a least favorite style of comedy? Like, is there something where you're like, for me, it's Italian comedy. Like, I feel like
no, I'm with you.
I feel like when you have an Italian comic up there, and some of them do it amazingly. It's just not for me.
Well, you just don't like Italians.
Maybe I just don't like Italian.
No, but I know what you mean, where the humor is all about being Italian and like
it feels like there's a few guys that are really good at it, you know, like Sebastian, but
it's an original point of view from these guys, but like a lot of them aren't giving an original point of view. Like you're talking about people who make hacky jokes about a culture versus like
you got to be careful with that word.
Which what?
Hacky. You got to be careful.
Or Italian. Be careful.
No, you got to be careful because you throw it around too much. And I'm going to tell you why. Again, I'm going to school you.
I haven't said many words today.
I'm going to school you just about
This is the quietest he's ever been on this podcast. I barely
said anything.
I'm like, we got to bring Vinny in every week.
Maybe we'll replay the episode. Because it's not hacky. If it's a personal observation about their life, that's not hacky.
No, I agree. Right? I'm saying when it is hacky.
So you take a guy, any culture, anything.
Yeah.
Take Lopez. Lopez talks about the Spanish experience. Mm-hmm. I'm not hacky. Now,
I don't think it's hacky to talk about being Italian. I'm saying when it's hacky. Like I'm saying when I'm not saying that because Sebastian Maniscalco is not a hack at all.
When you see a guy up there and you're like, all right, he's going to do sauce versus gravy, plastic on the furniture.
Yeah.
And then 9 out of 10 times they do hit all of
those. But here's the problem. Here's the distinction I want to draw. Because you asked me what my least favorite style is. And there's none.
Yeah.
Because really what I'm looking for is a guy's ability to connect with an audience, to be genuine. Mm-hmm. And now if if it's a joke that you've heard 100 times, then I won't like that joke, but not because it's hacky. I won't like the joke because I know the joke.
Yeah.
So to me, I look at comedy. Comedy is the exact opposite. I'm not saying anything you guys don't know, but comedy is the exact opposite of music. You go to a Springsteen concert and you're waiting for Born to Run. You go see me, and if I do the same joke I did last time, you're like, that's the last time. And so in terms of how I adjudicate the stage, I've always been in whatever mood I'm in, which is important to me. And I've allowed myself the freedom to always add, take away, and my set's not down anywhere. I'm the least disciplined, dumbest guy I know. So I allow myself the freedom to be on stage and enjoy what I'm doing.
Yeah.
So I can't tell the same story over again because it's not fun for me. Right. Even though there's material that, will get honed into a thing, and then I try and like just push it off for a while. I think, without sounding like an asshole, my COVID jokes were the best COVID jokes. Like, I loved my COVID set. And I loved it. And it was a long piece, and the audiences loved it. I can't do it today. I mean, not because it's out of favor, because the jokes still work.
Yeah.
But because I've done it too many times.
Yeah.
And
you get tired of your own stuff eventually. It's
what's that?
You get tired of your own stuff. You just like do it so long, you're just like. But there's just comics like Seinfeld is like one of those, right? Like who just they will keep their act for as long as they want to, and for a very long time, and work that act, and don't believe that it's about like really recycling out the material. They believe like you just keep on honing and honing and honing, which is obviously part of it. You do have to hone it.
Even if you are doing the same jokes you were doing 20 years ago, if you're still having fun doing them,
I agree.
Then do that.
Yeah, right. That's what it comes down to. Is like, when am I sick of this?
Yeah, it's just I stop doing something when I become sick of it.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. And I will bring something back that I haven't done for a while, and then it's fun again. But back to the hacky thing, to me, I hate the word because it can be applied so loosely.
Yeah.
And it gets applied in many cases by, I'm not talking about you right now.
Figure about to.
I'm just looking directly at you, but I'm not talking.
No, go ahead.
No, it gets applied by jealous people. It gets applied by, I remember when we were coming up in New York, and so, we would drive in from Jersey to these spots. And there was a thing. And the thing was, he's a Jersey comic. And they were awful to us. Many of them. One guy in particular, they would, for want of a better word, bully.
Right.
And I was a frequent target. I remember that feeling, right? And I'll tell you something, all the time. I would do stories from my life about my children. Work I'm very proud of. It holds up today. And those New York City guys had no kids. So the guy's a hacky guy doing kids. He's doing kids. And then this comic breaks through, Ray Romano. And listen, Ray's a great comic. Okay? I'm very proud of my work, of what I do with my family, about my stories, my life. Jokes are original. They're mine. They're not hacky at all. And Ray's aren't either. And then they started having kids, and there they are doing jokes.
Right. Yeah, because you're always going to write about what you're going through.
I've heard that joke 100 times from 50 guys. And if I wanted to be a jackass, I'd say, well, they're hacky. When those guys made that joke from their life, I would give them a pass. But they were bullies. And so I hate the word because, again, who am I to judge it, right?
Yeah.
I am a big Beatles fan, and I'm not a rap fan. But I'm careful not to say rap sucks because, clearly it doesn't suck. It's globally accepted. Right. It's commercially
I get
viable.
what you're saying. Like, people use it liberally about things they don't like or things they're jealous of. Or I get completely what you're saying. But there are hacks. Like, it doesn't mean I agree with I see exactly what you're saying. You're like, there's a lot of jealous comics, a lot of bitter comics. You're going to take anything you don't like or anything that you're jealous of, and you're going to say that's hacky, and it's used too liberally because it's a word that any comic could use to just shit on someone.
Richard Jennings would be called a hack today if he was doing.
If he was new today, you mean? Like if he just came out now? Because I don't think anybody considers him a hack.
talking fast, New York this, New York that. Richard Jeni was an amazing comic.
Yeah.
And clearly not a hack. It's my own thing. I really don't like the word because I've seen it applied by so much jealousy and insecurity and so much. And by the way, one of the guys that bullied me, I'm not going to tell you his name.
You could tell.
I did a show at the festival in New York, and I was in the back room, and it was a master show, and there was a bunch of New York City comics on it, and they treated me atrociously in the green room.
Why?
Reading my notes. I was reading my notes, and there was one guy making fun, looking at me, and I had the best show of the night. It was written up that way, and I'm not bragging. It just is what it is, right? And Cat Williams was on the show, and I'd never met Cat. I didn't even know who he was. He came in the room with an entourage. I was number 6. He was 7, and he was super complimentary. Everyone else was shitty until the second show. Same thing happened. And then that one guy came up to me and said, I have to give it to you. And then I've been cool with him since.
Yeah.
But being the recipient of it, being called a hack because I'm driving across a bridge, hey, screw you. Like, okay. And by the way, in the measure of our business, without sounding like an ass, I'm still standing.
Yeah.
And I created an environment where these same bullies wanted to come work.
Yeah. That's got to be a good feeling.
I don't harbor any resentment. What I harbor out of it is a reluctance to be that guy.
Yeah.
A reluctance to say that guy's a hack. And by the way, some of my very successful friends who are Italian comics get slathered with that label. And I look at the people doing it and I go, really? Like, really?
No, I'm like, if that's what you do it. I'm just saying for me personally.
Yeah. You didn't do it. It was him.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't know what you're saying. Also, let me clarify. I'm not saying making it a joke about being Italian is hacky. I'm saying that could happen. Like that there could be bad. I'm talking about unfunny people. What? I'm not talking about people.
What is your nationality?
I'm Italian.
Okay.
Yeah. Maybe that's my sensitivity.
And I will tell you that tapping into the Italian market would be brilliant for you. Because the Italian market supports its...
Yeah, oh yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
So
they absolutely do.
Yeah,
they will show the fuck up.
They I'm
do
Italian,
show up.
but I'm not Italian anywhere near Italian enough.
Yeah.
Right? You have days I wish my Uncle Tony was a character of Italian. But if I tried to do what those guys are doing, even though my uncle was, off the boat, his last name is Maniscalco.
Yeah.
And, he's a hardcore, gambling, cigar smoking, great Italian character. If I did it would be so disingenuous. Right? People would look at me.
You're not connected to it. Yeah. It's not your life. Yeah.
And so, I think there are guys out here right now, Anthony Redea killing it.
Yeah. Very funny.
Yeah. Vic DiBitetto. And Vic is a guy that suffered that moniker. And I'm like, really? That guy has been doing it for 44 years. He was doing it before. Right.
He's been doing it forever, and he's very good at it.
Sebastian's great.
All those guys are tremendously funny, though. I think the point is there are people there's comics that aren't funny. Right? Like, of course, there's people who do comedy that aren't that funny. That, you know what I mean? Like, that are still out there. And well, it's opinion. You know what I mean? It's not like a fact.
Yeah, it can't be a fact.
No, of course not. Because also those people make, like, we just talk about, like the road people, like, they're still making people, they are making a living.
Well,
you know what I mean?
I think the other thing that's happening now, it's happening a lot, is that someone's worldview is shaping their audience, which is unfortunate.
Yes.
Like political views, you mean? Like their point of view on like just
stances
on things?
I'll give you a great example, not using comedy. So Springsteen does not like Donald Trump.
Right.
And
I've noticed.
That should surprise no one.
I know.
Like, nobody should be saying, wait, what?
Every few years, people get, oh my God, Springsteen's liberal boycott. And
but he's one of us. Okay, he's like, no, he was never one of you. He was never one of you.
I don't necessarily think that if I'm in the room that I want to hear him say what he said.
Right.
but I'm still going to sing Born to Run.
Yeah.
And I'm still going to love Bruce Springsteen.
for sure.
And that is part of being an American.
Well, you know what's funny? Because, like, I agree with Bruce Springsteen on Trump, but I don't want to go listen to him. Like, I don't want to go see him in concert and listen to him talk about it and then hear 10 politically charged songs.
Well,
So it's like I agree with him and it turns me off.
You don't want to hear that.
It doesn't turn me off. What it does for me is I say, okay, he's Bruce Springsteen.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And if you want to do it, he's earned the coin.
Yep.
And I'm not talking about money.
Right.
He's earned the right. Now, I agree with you, but I would just use that time to go to the bathroom. Okay. Because to me, I still want to hear the music. And, a buddy of mine who's a hard right guy who loved Springsteen and said to me, I'm never listening to him again.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right, well, I guess that's your loss, right? I mean, because Sandy's still a pretty great song to hear on the 4th of July. It's still, and Jersey Girl, if you can't listen to Jersey Girl while you're down at Seaside and get romantic with your wife and put your arm around her and go, hey, I'm married to Jersey Girl. You're lost. You're just lost.
Yeah, if you're like, I can't listen to this fucking lib.
Yeah,
but speaking of Italians, a bunch of people did that with De Niro too. I can't watch a De Niro movie anymore. It's like, how can you not watch it?
You're not gonna watch The Godfather 2? Okay.
Yeah, right. Like, how do you really gonna not watch things that have literally nothing to do?
No, and no one knows my politics.
Can you listen to Kanye West?
No, Kanye West is the one artist where I
said, can you listen to Kanye West?
I am very good at separating art from the artist,
right?
But it's easier to do when you don't like the artist, right? So, like, it's easy for me to be like, hey, fuck R. Kelly and Chris Brown. I'm never going to listen to them. I never listened to them to begin with.
Yeah.
Right.
When Kanye started doing all of his shit, I was like, oh.
You like Kanye?
I did. I liked her. I loved early Kanye.
Yeah.
When Kanye came out, I was like, oh, wow, this is something like I've never heard.
I do have to
before.
debate when it comes on now. I'm like, I
Let's
do
talk
like
more
this song.
about something more important.
Yeah.
Pet sounds.
Yeah.
Yes or no?
Yes. Yeah. Love Pet Sound. I just did a podcast the other night about Brian Wilson.
Okay. Put it into a top what album? Top 10, top 20, top 100?
I think for me personally, I've heard the album so many times, it's not one that I go back to. I don't listen to the Beach Boys all that often anymore, but I think you can make an argument that's a top 5 album of all time.
Top 5. And I don't think top 5. I could not like the song Caroline No.
Yeah.
And now that Brian Wilson died, because my cousin loves it. And so I made this spoof video. There's a video circulating on the internet with all these people talking about Pet Sounds. And they're being very effusively, best album ever, blah, blah, blah. And I cut myself into the middle of it. And I'm just going, I don't see it. And so I'll show you the video. It's pretty funny. But it was private because I would never dump on Brian Wilson.
Right.
For obvious reasons. But now I listen to Caroline No. And I didn't know some of the backstory of Brian Wilson. And so then when you know the backstory, the song takes on more meaning. Now, there's a song, Summer's Gone, that Springsteen, in his tribute to Brian Wilson, said, go listen to Summer's Gone and cry, essentially. And so I'm a big Springsteen fan. So I listened to it and I cried because the song is beautiful. And so, but Pet Sounds, I'm like, the Sloop John B. I mean,
yeah.
Now, the other problem for me is I put the Beatles, I think there are at least 3 Beatle albums that are in the top 10 of all time.
Mm-hmm.
Which
ones? Which ones?
Sgt. Pepper.
Yeah.
Rubber Soul. Abbey Road. Revolver. I'm sorry. Revolver, Abbey Road, and
Sgt. Pepper.
Sgt. Pepper. And I mean, to me, it's hard to argue with that because that's who I like, right? Where do you put the Beatles in top 5? You don't like the Beatles, right?
No, I love the Beatles. But they're another band. I don't listen to much of it. You know, it's I've just heard it all so many times that I don't go back and listen to them. Sgt. Pepper's I was obsessed with as a kid. As I got older, That's actually it moved way further down my list.
Where do you put Abbey Road?
Abbey Road, I don't know. For me, my favorite Beatles album was the White Album.
It's a great album.
Like, it was just so eclectic. It
Yeah.
was just, they all just brought their own shit and did that.
Mm-hmm.
Revolver's definitely up there. But I was always much more of a Stones guy than a Beatles guy.
I love the Stones too, but the Stones fall below the Beatles for me. But the flip side of Abbey Road, the B side of Abbey Road, now that's the best album half for me.
Oh, like with all those medleys?
The Suite. It's called The Suite.
Yeah.
It's incredible. And that album half, that half of that album, in my mind, is the most beautiful listening that you can imagine.
Yeah.
Start to finish. Because, it opens up with Here Comes the Sun, goes into Because, which I absolutely love. Me, Mr. Mustard, which is but that's part of the.
That was so interesting what they did. Like, they did that with the White Album too. Like, they just had snippets of songs.
Mm-hmm.
And then they were like, what do we do with these? And then they were like, what if we just string them together? And then the songs just take left and right turns.
It's really
a
incredible.
minute, 30 seconds in.
Right.
All of a sudden you're like, well, I'm listening to something totally different right now.
Yeah, it's incredible. Now, what about you?
He doesn't care about music. He likes food.
I don't have enough. Yeah, right. He was talking about me because I talk about, it's not my comedy, but I just talk so much about food. I can't have musical taste because my mind is so consumed with fatty meats. I do listen to a lot of rap. I love Stones, but like I don't. Like the Beatles for me are like I could absolutely listen and acknowledge it's not my taste. I just you know what I mean. Like I think that's why there's a Stones Beatles thing because those are so different. There's a little kid waving at us. Hey guys.
The Stones don't exist without the Beatles.
The Stones, to me, had the best 4-album run.
What do you mean by that? They don't exist without the Beatles, meaning like they're the antithesis? So
I think that the Beatles did a lot of things. And I think the Beach Boys did too. And I think the Stones did. But I think that the competition drove the Stones. Stones are great. I mean, who's going to argue with the Rolling Stones? They're amazing.
Yeah.
And I loved... what album came? Shattered was Some Girls?
That was on Some Girls.
Yeah.
Their brilliant comeback album. That was a brilliant comeback album.
I loved that album.
Yeah.
And Debbie Flatley could sing every word of Shattered. And she was in my biology class. And we all had crush on Debbie Flatley. And the song was just a mad hit. And she'd sit in class before and she'd be singing it. I'd be looking at her going, oh, there can't be right? And, but I loved Some Girls.
But for me, my like, so I, grew up in the 90s. Like for me, like Nirvana albums hold like a higher tier of, and I think that's the same. I feel like there's a similar mindset there with like that. Nirvana is not the most musically amazing group. There's a raw, like there's something that I don't know if it's something I was going to be kind of douchey to say, like something they stood for something, but it's more like their message was so raw that I think it spoke to a certain people.
Yeah.
But in the 90s, there's bands that are much better.
Depressed people.
Yeah. Generation X.
Right.
Yes.
That
spoke to us for sure.
Nevermind is a great album.
Yeah.
But they really have one great album.
Oh, see, you know what's so funny? I know I'm going to sound douchey saying this. Nevermind was my least favorite album of theirs.
I can't name another album.
My favorite album of theirs was the follow-up. The one with Heart-Shaped Box.
Yeah.
In Utero.
In
Utero. Because Kurt was like, he was very sick with stomach issues. And that album sounds like a disease.
I wish my stomach issues inspired me like that. I just have diarrhea.
Well,
like I have ulcerative colitis.
So,
and he created In
Utero was a good follow-up, but commercially it didn't hit the way.
Not like Nevermind. Nevermind, for me, I like...
It almost was like shocking. It hit like...
Nevermind sounded too produced. I don't like anything that sounds very clean or slick.
That's funny. I don't like that aspect of comedy specials.
Yeah.
Because I watch a comedy special and there's no moment that isn't polished up.
Well, that's why I taped in your room. That's why I did my special in your room, because I love, to me, the low ceilings. You hear the clinks of the glasses.
Yes.
I remember being a kid. Look, say what you want about Woody Allen. He's fucking hilarious stand-up comic. My dad used to have those records, and I would put them on and listen to them in headphones, and I would hear the clinks of the glass, and you could hear the laughs bouncing off the walls.
Well, you talk about a generation of comics that are not remembered. Woody Allen, Bob Newhart.
Yeah.
Bob Newhart was great. He wasn't good.
Woody Allen's got. There's a little different about Woody Allen. It's not that you just don't remember. It's also the bad press. You know.
No, he's not remembered as a stand-up.
As a stand-up.
No, I don't think most people wouldn't even know he did it.
No.
It's a good point. You still remember Michael Jackson
Yeah.
music, no matter what.
And you know, I don't know. You marry your stepdaughter, not that big a deal. The so Woody Allen,
Not that big.
Bob Newhart, from that whole generation, those guys that were just, Gabe Kaplan.
Yep.
Really, in a way, kind of a little bit later, but Tim Allen. People forget Tim Allen was a great stand-up.
Yeah.
Drew Carey was a great stand-up.
There's only a few names from that era that I guess universally are recognized.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, there's not, like, out of this generation, I think there's going to be a ton of these guys that are big now.
Well, because
I don't know if it
so
stands the test of time, but, like, there's so many that are wildly popular now.
But there's also so much content that you're going to be able to go back and look at 50 years
Yeah,
from now.
that's true. You'll be able to do it. Yeah.
Where you can't be like, oh, let me see clips of Woody Allen doing stand-up. Like, maybe there's a handful that exists.
Woody Allen.
Yeah.
And I can't even do the bits, but I've heard them. But some of the scenes from the movies, the Take the Money and Run, it says gun. It says gub. No, that's an N. It's just so. And then what are you in for? I misspelled the note. It's just such a great comic genius, right? Who else from that era, though? I mean,
Lenny Bruce. Lenny Bruce, wasn't that the same?
Lenny Bruce is before, right? Like, he's before really. I guess Woody Allen, but some of these other guys.
Woody by a bit, but
Lenny's before. That's the incredible thing about Lenny Bruce. He's before so many and saying what he said. The guy would get arrested for what he said. You know what I mean?
It's so funny. If Lenny Bruce came out today, you wouldn't even shrug.
Those jokes wouldn't. I also don't think that those jokes, as they stand now, you would even think were as funny.
Thought Lenny Bruce just didn't make me laugh.
Right. I don't think many people would find it funny.
From what I heard.
You know who doesn't make me laugh? Never made me laugh.
But don't you think he probably
Robert Klein?
Never made me laugh.
Yeah, I wasn't a big Robert Klein fan.
Don't you think though Lenny Bruce probably also went down that path because he realized he was like the only one who could do it at the time? Like maybe he would have been funnier if he was just say things that were offensive to people.
There were tons of guys doing it. Red Fox was doing it. Lenny Bruce got arrested. And it's the best thing that happened to him.
Yeah.
Right? Because
give him a bad.
I don't think Lenny Bruce was as good a comic as a lot of those guys at that time. That's my opinion. Yeah. It is an opinion. And by the way, I've only tried to watch a couple of pieces. I'm like, that's not funny.
Yeah.
But that's my opinion. Yeah.
But the shock value of it made his name. You know what I mean? But in a time
Carlin was shocking people. But first Carlin was goofy, of course.
Yeah.
But, to me, Carlin, I don't think anyone, for my money, was a better social commentary guy than Carlin. Marr. Bill Maher's stand-up was always, I thought, really on point. Again, against my political views. Who are the other political commentators? I never watched.
Lewis Black was Lewis Black was really good at it.
Lewis Black is after those guys.
Yeah.
And the best. Because equal opportunity offender, and Lewis was always having fun. I love Lewis, and the nicest man. And Lewis, you could get, because you didn't have to pick a side with Lewis, because everyone was going to get a dose. Yep. Everyone got a dose. My guilty pleasures in comedy, by the way, I love Larry the Cable Guy.
Yep.
Love him. Yep. And that's a guy.
I've heard he's one of the nicest dudes.
Great guy. I've only met him a handful of times. Never not uber nice. But for me, again, this is a guy that some people have, it's just, I defy you to sit in the room. because the jokes are boom, 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 and they're silly and they're fun. And after a while, you're like, I forget all about all my troubles because I'm laughing at the guy do this joke about his sister at the flea market, and it doesn't have to be some quote unquote highbrow moment. And the comics that
well, who's the comic you're talking about?
What do you mean?
Didn't you just say
Larry the Cable Guy?
Oh, I thought you said who else? Okay.
No. I mean, guys, Larry got his dose of hate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like that's a character he stumbled on that worked,
Larry's jokes are just, to me, you sit in that room. I've watched people sit in his show that said, he's scatological. And 10 minutes in, they're laughing because the jokes are just too silly and they're too fast. He does one joke that I absolutely think the joke's so funny. You ever go to a family party, you see some girl and she's beautiful and you don't know if she's related to you? Ooh, I saw this one girl. I said, Grandma, is that girl over there related to us? And she said, shut the door, I'm trying to poop. It's so silly.
That's a great misdirect.
Yeah. And it's boom, 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 boom.
That group, that group that Jeff Foxworthy,
when I was a kid,
that group that was with him,
so
Larry the Cable Guy was one of because they had that tour together, that
Blue Collar,
right? Ron White, fucking hilarious, right? Like
Ron White's so good,
so good. They did get a bad rap for a minute of being like a certain thing or like only appeal, but those are all tremendously funny people. Like those are all hilarious people.
The least funny Blue Collar Guy is a great comic. Whoever it is.
Yeah.
Whichever one is the least for you is a great comic.
Yeah. Right.
I still can listen to Cosby and laugh.
Oh, can you see? Yeah.
I listen. If we open up everybody's closet, except mine.
Everybody's got a few dozen rapes.
There's some
release a bag of roofies.
There's some moment in your life that won't play well on the broader scale.
You know what?
I will say, just calm down. I will say that his moment is worse than the average.
Yeah, slightly.
But you gotta somehow, here's the thing about Cosby.
Separate the person from the comedy is what you're saying. Like it's
well,
but that's a tough one to defend.
Listen. In Bill Cosby's defense, you try getting laid in those sweaters. Just good.
Vinnie, thanks so much for coming on.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks for coming on, man.
Thank you.
It's a Bit Too Much podcast on social. Do you have anything to plug at Stress or anything or the new venue?
Go to my social media, Vinnie_Brand. Growing every month. I love it. The clubs love you. Please come to Valley Forge Casino. Beautiful, beautiful room. Great casino. They did a huge $50, $60, $100 million renovation of the property. It's beautiful. And the club in New Brunswick loves you. Victoria's Trattoria right next door.
Food is unreal. Food is really good.
Thank you very much. It's listen, we like people. And we like people and we like feeding them. We like making them laugh. So please keep coming. Vinnie_Brand on TikTok, Instagram. YouTube is Vinnie Brand Comedian. Facebook is Vinnie Brand Comedian. BlackPeopleMeet.com is just Vinnie_Brand. I don't care where I get an audience, Ken. I'm on everything.
Yeah, wherever
I'm on the Grinder. Are you on the Grinder, Ken? You know why I'm not on Grinder? I'm gonna tell you why real quick. I'm not on Grinder because even on Grinder, I'd be swiped left too many times. I can't be swiped left. I've never done a dating website, but I'm afraid because no one. This is why I don't do a dating website. I'm afraid if I did a dating website just to see, I would understand fully within a week that I have no market cap.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Vinnie, thank you so much for coming on. It's Bit Too Much podcast and all the socials.
Thank you.
Bye.